being multifaceted and on the ADHD spectrum, or being an empath, or simply just being a projector on human design. Aloha, my wonderful ones, and welcome to yet another episode here on my podcast. I know it's been a while, and I know that in the last one especially, I promised a new moon reading. I think it was a full moon reading, new moon reading, something like that, because I was hoping that I could integrate, a bi-weekly recording of cards for you. But then, things got a little bit different. And that's why I want to share with you my journey as as whatever I am. Because the weird thing is, from my path, I found out I was an empath, and I thought that all the things that I was doing, being very switchy with things that I love, on one hand, having that spiritual passion, and, but, there are several, moments of things happening in my life, starting from being multicultural by DNA. So you think that because I've had so many different countries and cultures influence me throughout my life, that maybe that was what was making me struggle in different directions. And I remember way back when I was in therapy that was one of the points that I talked about. And I remember how my therapist actually, gave me the inspiration to, instead of seeing all of those nations and cultures around me, why not embrace them all and see them as a gift that I have on a daily basis. So that was the first thing, and that was nice. It was nice to know that I could do that I would have that on a cultural ground, right? But then I also had my finding out that I'm an empath, that I have, that I feel people's energies, and it will make me go follow them on their paths, follow different kinds of people on their paths with them, because I was feeling their energies, because I was feeling their emotions, because I was feeling a lot of feelings, right? So I needed to learn to cope with that. And that's when the Hawaiian philosophy came into my life, which really transformed so many things. I'm not saying, my shamanic teacher did a lot as well when I had him as when he was, guiding me on this plane. But then, sort of like the Hawaiian philosophy gave me an upgrade to everything, to that self-acceptance, right? But then there was this other thing that if I was looking at, because you're trying to find your purpose in life, you're trying to find, what am I supposed to do here? And then for me, at some point, I thought, well, you probably maybe you've heard of the multipotentialite. I don't remember the name of that, the person that brought that into, but there's actually a TED Talk if you want to go look at it. It's really good, about multipotentialites. So I read, I listened to that TED Talk, and I'm like, yeah, that's me, right? And in Germany, they actually have a very specific name for this kind of people like me that have different kinds of interests. And I found out for myself that, how every multipotentialite has sort of like a line that, is it called like a red marker? No, it's a different kind of, the thread, like the red thread throughout your life, that it's always the same. And in my case, it had always been spirituality, but there was a second one that I was denying myself, which was the technical part. And then 2020, when so many things happened, a friend of mine actually helped me to embrace that second part, because with everything that was happening, with my own personal mindset work on business and everything, I realized that with my coaching business, just for in terms of spirituality and burnout, and I don't even remember what kind of topics I used to have in my coaching business back then, because it's so long ago. But anyhow, a friend of mine said, dude, you've been telling us how to do our websites, how to do all of this. Why don't you start doing it for money? And so I started working as a virtual assistant, after overcoming that thought of, oh my God, I failed as a coach. I need to find something else. Those were all belief systems that I had to work through. And then just deciding like, hey, I am allowed to do both. I am allowed to, on one hand, be a spiritual guide, a teacher, for anything Hawaiian philosophy, for anything shamanism, for anything energy, because that's where I do work, but I also need to go through my own things. And one of my topics was that, right? So I allowed myself to embrace that second side as a virtual assistant, not talking too much about it, just having my clients and that's it. And then I started focusing on empath because I know it's about energy for us, right? It's about energy. And sometimes it's about, when we are with so many different kinds of people, we're so inspired by so many things, and somewhere parallel in this story, I found out that I'm a projector and, in human design. And if you look at the description for projectors, I was like, man, this is like almost every empath should be a projector, but no, it's not. There's different kinds of things. But in my case, I was looking at projectors and how we're supposed to function. And it helped me to understand how I'm supposed to go, through certain things, through certain challenges in my life. More, with the description of, being multicultural and then an empath. And then, okay, so, but to me, it all feels the same. Like if you look at the descriptions for those specific kinds of people, right? It all fits in there. And then the last one that has been coming to me for the past 2 years was the ADHD part, because everybody's talking about ADHD. A lot of people are talking about ADHD right now. It's like we're embracing it. And it's not like, I have to say, I've never been diagnosed by a doctor with this, and I don't see it as an illness. I see it as my superpower as well. And again, if I look at the description of ADHD people, I resonate with almost every step. I used to be, I used to have anxious moments. I used to be very anxious with all of this, with the whole ADHD part. But and that's why I mentioned the Hawaiian philosophy earlier, because that is what actually helped me to really drop it and go into a step further, really become more calm inside of me and really be able to do this. So now I resonate whenever I read things about ADHD, but I know that I have learned and I have methods where I really am able to deal with it in a really amazing way. Actually, like I said, for me, it's part of my superpower. And with all this said, so I've had, for the past couple of years, I've had two businesses. On one hand, the spiritual one where I support, inspire, and help. And I've really had wonderful clients going with me through a 6-month program that was incredible. And I really love that work. But I also love that I have the option for this other side of me that loves technology. So I have two threads in my life, and I believe all multi-potentialized ADHD people have more than one. I'm saying I have two. I don't know if people are out there that have three. Let's just be open to whatever, right? And for me, that was a huge thing to have that separate. And then my technical side started to shift about 2 years ago as well, going more into AI, learning more about AI. And it's incredible how it really, it makes me buzz. It makes me go hyper-focused for days into those topics and learning of them and learning about them, right? And then so beginning of this year, I started asking myself, like, I need to do something. And that's when, my weekly card readings started to be a little bit weird. Like I couldn't find the time for them. And for me, that's also a sign from spirit world, sort of like to be, hey, you know what, you're going in the, maybe it's just not the right thing anymore. Maybe it's time to do something else. And so I've been, I have to say for the past 6 months, but specifically for the past 2 months, I have been, like the universe has brought me to places. We've been on, real life conferences, and it's been an interesting ride, to put it that way, on a spiritual level, on a level of being, with different kinds of people, being inspired. And for me also realizing that I would love to bring my two threads together, bring them in and support people on both sides. And it's been really interesting because for those of you who are entrepreneurs, how it is when when you're thinking like, how am I going to bring this together? But I love that I'm doing it right now, and I am working on it for clients as well, because I am going through with this, and I know that because I am overcoming this, I know I'll be able to help others to overcome this too. Because I believe, and this is a thing that I needed to step into, and this is what has happened energetically for the past 2 months, is that I've been stepping into my role as a coach for both things. I don't want to separate it. I want to be able to support people on a spiritual level as well as on the technical level with their businesses. And I see the potential in there, and I know I can do it. And it's like the universe is calling me to do it. And it brought me people in my life, women in my life that were going like, oh my God, how are you combining all of this? And I'm like, I'm just doing it because I know we're out there. I know I'm not the only geek or nerd out there that loves technology, but also has a very spiritual side. I know I'm not the only one. And then the universe gave me this wonderful term, and I love it. And if you resonate with it, let's use it together. Let's call ourselves cyber witches. That's, for me, that's like the perfect combination of the technical part with the witchy, the magical part, right? Because it's that combination. And as a cyber witch, I want to support you. If you're a business owner that wants to use more AI, that struggles sometimes with technology and you're afraid of it a little bit, but you also have maybe some struggle on an energetic level as an empath, with ADHD, as a projector, or whatever you resonate with all of the things that I said, let me know and let's talk together. And one of the gifts that I received, and it's so beautiful, how I'm using AI as well, how can we set this up? How can we show people? Because it's about, I need to go out there so that people can see me and know what's happening, right? So I was going like, okay, dear universe, I need to have something, how I can, I need something to practice, because I don't know of anyone doing that combination together. And I'd love to do that. And how can we bring that together? How can we, bring that out to the people? And one wonderful thing that happened exactly 2 days after I put that intention out into the universe was a dear friend of mine who has been, I've told her about this struggle that I have, but we've never talked much about it. As friends, she was doing her thing, I was doing mine. And then she rings me up and she says, May, I need to talk to you. Please, please, please coach me. Right now, I'm emotionally right now in not a very good place and energetically. But I want to set up my business. I'm ready to set up my business and I don't know how to get started. It just all feels so overwhelming. Please, can you help me? And the moment she said that, I was like, oh my God, thank you, universe, for sending me this wonderful being that I'm allowed to, coach for the next 6 months, to be with her, to show her, to give her inspiration. So we set up a plan. We're meeting once a week. And the wonderful thing that we have together is that I'm allowed to share her story with you as well, because it's a learning phase for both of us, right? So for those of you who know human design, she's also a human design coach. So we're using that to help us both to step into our strength, into our power, to step into our center when it comes to human design. For me, it's about practicing. So she's my very first one. She's my beta client, to put it that way. The very first one that I'm going through in a very individual coaching form, because as a projector, I'm not made to coach hundreds and thousands. I prefer to do the one-on-one and only 3 people for 6 months. We're doing it together and I'm helping her. I'm allowed to support her on both sides. So we're doing it on an emotional level. She's receiving emotional and energetic coaching. We're connected through WhatsApp in our case, but we have different kinds of communication possibilities. So we're connected through that. We have that connection. We can talk to each other. She will receive the guidance. We've decided to do it every Sunday, Monday, somewhere around there. She receives the guidance for the week, and then she'll work through the things. And sometimes it's technical things, and sometimes it's it's more emotional things depending on where she is. And the wonderful things, we're mixing it up very much. And today she was able to post her first podcast back up. She already had it back then, but she was struggling, with the technology, with how to edit her video and stuff like that. So we went through that. And we did a couple of very important things for her this week, and I'm so excited to do this. And I'm going to take you with me on this journey. So like I said, she's allowing me to talk about it. She'll probably come in on the podcast episode as well, to come and join me to this, so that you can, so that you can see how her transformation works on one hand, but also you can see how I do, how I'm thinking, how I want to support you if you are an entrepreneur that is struggling with technical and emotional energetic things at the same time. I'd love to support you. And like I just mentioned, I only do 3 clients 3 clients at a time maximum. And right now she's my beta client, so I still have 2 spots open. So in case you're interested, DM me, let's talk about this. And I hope that you'll stick around with me and, listen to what we're doing. I believe, on my journey, this is another thing that I want to share with you as a last point before we wrap this up. I believe on my journey, with all this money mindset and wealth creation that I've been through, because I was so much struggling, the first couple of years. I was like, okay, I'm following my passion. I'm a coach and I'm doing this. But I was only following one of my passions. And I think that's the reason why the universe was not gifting me anything. Like I was really, and not just that, I mean, you have to work on your mindset to be able to attract things. And I wasn't able to attract things because I wasn't there. And I believe everything that happened beforehand was a preparation for me to be here right now at this point. And sort of like with my therapist years ago, when she said, dude, you have these different kinds of cultures inside of you and you're allowed to choose them all. Now I am choosing all my passions instead of just doing one, or just doing it in one language, because you'll receive, you will hear my updates here in English, but I will also have a German update. So it's going to be bi-weekly, right? Every 2 weeks. So next week is going to be the German update. This week is the English update. Because it's me. I have different languages inside of me that I speak very good. And maybe we'll even do one in Spanish, because I know that friend speaks all 3 languages. We'll think about it, but we'll definitely stay to English and German for now. But anyhow, I just wanted to share with you this, because it's, in this wealth creation. And with wealth creation, I don't just mean money. For me, wealth creation means feeling wealthy and being able to accept all of you with all your sides. That's wealthy. That's very wealthy. And I'm so grateful that I was able to learn to accept all my cultural sides inside of me, as well as all my passions. And I'm living them right now. And I hope that I can bring all of this to you. And then I hope that you can walk this path with me, here in the podcast and my YouTube channel, or, through my social media. I'd love to share more of this. So with this said, my wonderful soul, thank you for listening in. If you enjoyed this, please leave a thumbs up, follow, and follow my channel, follow my social media, and pass this on to friends if you think that they can use it. With that said, have a wonderful time, have a wonderful week, and I'll probably put in an update tomorrow with all the wonderful, with the first update of my friend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.